Hello and welcome to VitoshAcademy. My name is Vitosh, and in the next probably 30 to 40 minutes you will be staying with me coding in Python, seeing how a set of classes that combines classes, methods, attributes, compositions and inheritance is to be created. So I'm going to use the Python workout book, and I'm going to stop on exercises 43, 44 and 45. So let's take a look what exactly is wanted in us from exercise 43. So opening Python Jupyter notebook, we can see that for exercise 43 we want to see something about classes, methods and inheritance in Python. So at the end of the exercise we should be having some code that works like this. A ship is white, and then we should see ship species equals ship, as color equals white, and as number of legs should be equal to 4. And what else? When we ask print s, this house should be equal to white sheep 4 legs. Okay, and of course so far we have sheep is not defined. Let's see, I'm just going to put these ones here and I'm always going to write over it. That's somehow our test cases. Tests for 43. And let's start to see how are we going to do it. So we have class sheep, of course, and before this class sheep we should be having class animal, because that's the idea, and class sheep would actually be inheriting from animal, because we have a lot of animals, in general 4 of those: wolf, sheep, snake and parrot. So let's quickly build them. Sheep, wolf, parrot and snake, and all of these are inheriting from an animal. Okay, makes perfectly good sense. Let's run our tests. Of course it doesn't work. Sheep takes no arguments, and here we have taken something, so it should be white. The idea is that we would be defining this in the animal, so our base class animal should be having this init, and it will be having here the self, color and number of legs. So self species would be actually the name of our code here. So self species, and in order to get it we should do it like this: class underscore name. Let's see. Yes, so let's just use as sheep white, but we also need some number of legs, for example 42, and we have the s, and if we want to see how s is going to return sheep, we should say s dot species, and it returns sheep. Another way to do it would be to get this thing. Let's see whether it will work. Yes, it works. That's the idea. Dunder class dunder name returns the name of the class, as easy as this. Let's try it with animal. As animal init, and if we want to see the s, it returns a function, but if we want to return s dot name dot class, it returns animal. So this is exactly what this self class name returns. So this way we are saving on writing here additional argument named name of the animal. So for the color, we say self color equals color. So the idea is that this color here is this one here, and additionally self number of legs equals number of legs. Yeah, missing argument number of legs. Yep, happens. What can we do? Well, we should pass the number of legs, and the number of legs will be coming from the sheep, different for the sheep and the wolf, different from the parrot, different from the snake. Snake is with 0, parrot is with 2, the other ones are with 4. So let's create their own inits. Self color, and they would be calling super. Super means go one level up, go to the grandfather or the father in this case, or the parent here, animal. So super dot init self color. No, we don't need the self, we just need color and 4. Yeah. Same would be for the wolf. For the parrot it will be 2. For the snake it will be 0. Let's see how our thing works. Super has no object attribute sheep in it. Okay, I have left one dunder undone, so to say. Yeah, this one. And this is what happens when you code copy and paste. Sheep object has no attribute. Yeah, this is not in English. Species. Yay. I'll ask print. Okay, I asked print on the wrong one, so print. This is really basic printing. So we have false, true, true. I'm expecting to see true everywhere. So as species is sheep, but of course with small letter. That's a good one. How should we make it with small letter? Does it really matter? Well, I'll use L case, but I'm not sure that this one exists. Yeah, it doesn't like the L case, because L case was from the VBA world. So let's take a look how to do it from that world here. So in the cages exercise, we have to implement the following. I would call it interface, but don't use my word for it. This is not an interface. This is how it should work. So pretty much we have to define a cage, and we have to be able to add the animals, and at the end, if we print information about the cage, it should give us some information about it. So let's start. So the idea is that we would define one cage like this. C1 equals cage, and it would have an ID number. So whenever I see print C1, it should be equal to the following sentence: cage 1, and I'll simply write everything like this: black wolf, 4 legs. Okay, cage 1. So it is on one line, 4 legs, white sheep, 4 legs, and then brown snake, with 0 legs. and then green parrot to legs. And once this is true, everything would be perfect. I mean, it's interesting that cage is not throwing an answer, an error. It should be like this for unimplementing an undefined thing. The thing is that I have just built something and then deleted it, so that's why it doesn't work. Wait. Control Z just blew up. But here undo delete cells actually worked quite okay for me. Yes. So let's continue with the cages. So I just clicked on B and a new thing appeared. And let's write class cage. And this is the new class. So the class cage, of course, it looks like this. So it is initiable and it is a method. We would have to get the init. Then we would have to have the add animals. Then we should be having the referral. And once we do this, everything should be perfect. Let's fix about more of our stuff here. So the O will be black, the sheep would be white, then we would have a snake, brown, and we would be having a parrot that is also green. And in this C1 cage we will be adding animals, all of them, wolf, sheep, snake, parrot. Okay, so add animals is what we're actually looking for, or actually no, C1 cage, this one is the first thing we are interested in. So you see you're passing something, so this will be first the self and then the ID number. And self ID number, or just I'll do it like this. No, ID is actually protected. ID num. This is not exactly how you should program in Python, but I guess this way you would understand what is ID number, what is ID num, where everything is going, why it is going this way. So I'll leave it like this, and then self animals would be this kind of empty list. Okay, so adding animals, we don't have a limit of how many to add, so we would add unlimited like this. This even had its own name, and it's either with keyword arguments and just with arguments. It was something like args and kw args. Kw args were something with like this, and these were like this, or I'm really mistaken and I don't remember it correct. Okay, so add animals for each animal in animals self dot animals. We are now going to this one here, self animals, and we will use the append each animal, or you can use not each animal but simply animal. Yeah, we don't return anything, we are just adding stuff to the code here. And now the funny part with the representation. The idea is whenever we call cage like this, we should be getting this beauty here. And I'm always also getting string like this. Let's see. Nope, it doesn't work. Pity, it doesn't work. The good thing is that the other code is working, so let's try to think about the representation. So what can we say? Let's get text and say our text would be, I can use the same thing I use here, self class name, save class name, because cage is with upper. So self class name, and then self ID, and now you can think whether I should write ID number or ID num. Of course it's ID number, because I'm looking at these ones. These are the ones related to the self. So self ID number, and I'll just put this, and I have one space. Let's see whether it would return something. Nah. Type error. Representative takes 0 positional arguments, but 1 was given. Yes, this is really standard thing. We have somehow given a positional argument, but it doesn't take 1. So we're missing the self, because as you see here below in the text, it is related to the self. So yeah, still an error. String returned non-string, type non-type. Well, beauty, I would say. Let's see if we just take C1, what should be returned? Whoa, returned non-string type non-type. Of course, we need return text. And let's take a look. Okay, finally we have what we're actually interested in, cage 1, and it looks okay. So now black wolf and the comma 4 legs. This is what we should be taking. Okay. Can I somehow get the C1 animals? Although I do not have exposed interface, I probably should get something. Yes, black wolf, white sheep, brown snake, green parrot. I mean, I'm getting it like this as an attribute, so this is exactly the way to get it. I can get also the ID number this way. Animals. So black wolf, comma 4 legs, semicolon. So there is some kind of for each that should be defined in the representation. Okay, so text plus equal, and now what would I have done here is simply write a for each loop, which would have put me as a really low paid Python developer if I have done this, because Python doesn't use for each loops when it tries to make a string out of lists. In general, this is what the philosophy of the people behind Python is. So I'll simply say something like, let's see whether I can do it here. Join C1 animals plus string animal, string animal, yes, for animal in self. Not, it shouldn't be self, it should be C1 animals. Let's see. Join is not defined, really. Okay, something like this. Yes. And just to use the same string everywhere. So black wolf, 4 legs, white sheep, 4 legs, brown snake. Yeah, I mean, we are getting somewhere. So black wolf should be having a comma, 4 legs. Here should be having a semicolon. String animal for animal in C1 animals. Let's use like this. Yeah, black wolf, 4 legs, white sheep, brown snake, and I think this thing actually should be quite enough. Let's put it here, and see how our thing is going. Okay, so C1 is this, and what we are looking for is actually this one. Okay, first thing I'm seeing is that there is a space after cage 1. We should be able to fix it here. Let's give it a try, and that was it. Perfect. We have all the codes, all the tests passing by, so this means that our code is perfect for the submitted parts. Means it works, which is quite okay, I would say. Quite okay. So 43 and 44. What would be more interesting to say here, to do here? Well, we can do it a bit differently. We can do this one with the representation with spaces, new lines. This is what it is in the book actually. We are not gonna do it like this. And yeah, everything else looks okay. So this is actually called composition, one class inside another class. So inside the class cage, we are having the class parrot, for example, the class snake, the class wolf, the class sheep, or not exactly the class, but element from the class, or with other words, object from the class wolf. In the object from the class cage, we have object from the class wolf. Yes, this is exactly how it should sound if you are like an IT person. So yeah, let's continue with the next one called the zoo. So in the zoo, we would be having something called another class called zoo. So it should be like this, ZZoo. And there we will be adding cages, C1 and C2. I'll just add another cage here called C2 with like this, and there I will be adding, how about two, just a snake and a parrot. Yeah, perfect. So zoo, adding two cages. It's an interesting decision whether this would actually work, but I think it should, or not. Let's see. Yeah, the zoo is not defined. I mean, there was not a problem to add like this. Let's just take a look actually. That's a good thing. What will happen if we add two of the same kind? Just let's see how C1 looks then. C1 black wolf, 4 legs, white sheep, 4 legs, white sheep, 4 legs. And this is because we added the sheep twice. Yeah, makes sense. Perfect. So let's return our stuff. Control Z would actually work. And let's work until our tests are working. Okay, so the tests are working. 42, 43, 45. So zoo, add cages, and in these add cages there should be some ways to build animals by colors. Animals by color, and just filtering the one that are white. I'll don't do the white, I'll do these beauties, because they should be like 3 wolves that are black in all the cages. Then we will be having animals by legs. And we will be asking the one with the 4 legs, and then Z number of legs in total, and this is a function, so we ask these ones. I don't know how many should we say, so I'll be just doing it a bit reverse. For the time being, we don't have the zoo defined, so yeah, that's how it works. Let's define our class zoo somewhere here. Pressing B, we get a new cell and we start coding. So how do we start coding? We would start with class zoo. Zoo doesn't inherit anything, and we need the init of the zoo, so it is just the self. See, nothing added here, no parameter, nothing. I'll just pass it because I'll think later. Then we would be having the add cages, this one. And we would be referring to the self, and then cages. This star here is with the idea that it is unlimited how many we add. With other words, this thing gives you the argument as a tuple, and if it is like this, it would give it as a dictionary. So yeah, in our case, tuple is enough, fortunately. And let's pass it as well. Then animals by color. You would need to know the color on which to filter. Then animals by legs. I think this is this one. Self number of legs, and at the end we would need just number of legs. And it would simply return a number. In this case, I'll just put 42, so I don't want to write pass. Yes, and let's start saying, okay, that zoo, name zoo is not defined, really. I just defined it here. It starts not liking my things already, okay. The zoo is present, and zoo object has no attribute animals by color. It's like this. Okay, I just made a mistake somewhere. Print animals by legs. Yes, we have none, none, and 42 as some results. The good thing is that our class is here. Our interfaces of the class are present. It collects the cages. It has the colors. It has the number of legs. The point is that it doesn't do anything, but so far we can program against it. That's the idea. So let's slowly start. So for the self, what do we need? The same thing with the cages, with the animals. Just a simple list. So yeah, and then add cages, the second thing. So for cage, in cages, self, cages, append, cage. Yes, and if we set Z, control tab or shift tab, what was it? Tab, no, yeah, Z cages. Let's take a look. Yeah, didn't return anything strange. Add cages. Okay, so Z cages. Okay, now it returned. So cage 1, a whole list of all the things. And cage 2, why are they exactly the same? That's a really interesting thing. So we have 2 wolves, black wolf, white sheep, brown snake, green parrot. Huh. That's interesting. I'll simply do it, shift up everything again. I'm not expecting them to be the same because we have different things, like C2 are with 2 wolves with no sheep. I'll set here no sheets. True, like this, let's see. And somehow it is returning kind of meaningless stuff. I would say yes, this is a problem with the cage. Self anymore. Yes, let's think about how to fix it. What I can do is pretty much say here print cage, just to see whether I'm passing the same. And of course print doesn't work, but let's see. Reference before assignment. Of course, this is what does it mean referencing things before assignment. So cage 1 is black wolf 4 legs, white sheep 4 legs. Yes, they're somehow the same. And I don't like them to be exactly the same. So let's see C1 cage. And C2 is actually different. At least this is how I see it. Let's see C2. Black wolf, white sheep. They're pretty much the same. Black wolf, white sheep, brown snake, green parrot. Okay. That's some kind of a mistake that we're doing. Okay. Let's leave just a wolf here. Yeah. Yes. This is what it does. Somehow this list here in the cages is shared between the two classes, and there should be a way to go around it. And a long time ago I think there was a way to do it. Let's take a look and research a bit. And after some research, actually I found an old article that I used to write. How old? Yeah, from 2 months ago, that actually says something like this: never use a empty list, and just check if whether it's none or not. So this is how I'm going to do it with I'll just copy this one here and do the correct thing. Just here F11, and I'm going to say okay, whenever I have this kind of list as a default argument, I'll use cages equals none. And I'll say if grouped task is none. Let's take a look how to do it. If cages is none, then I'm just curious whether it will work. C1, C2. No, doesn't work. It's not from there. How about this thing here? Now this is not it. It's not about the cages, it's about animals. Yes, if animals equals none, then and I need this. This is really interesting. It's not actually providing what we wanted. So where is the problem? Why do we have C2 overwritten with C1? That's what we need to research. Okay, So what I have done in the research is the following. Actually, I have added this for cage in cages, print cage whenever we add the cage, and I have done the same with the add animals. Let's see how it works. And we see that actually we are adding correctly black wolf here, brown snake here, green parrot there. But still we get cage 1 black wolf 4 legs, cage 2 black wolf 4 legs. So let's take a look at the representation method, and tada! You see C1 animals, which is not a good idea. This class cage is actually accessing an object. This is really something that you should not be doing in programming. But the thing is that we didn't catch it with our test because we were only testing C1. So here it should be self animals. And I'm just going to remove all the prints that I have added. Because I feel comfortable. Let's see, C1, C2, now they are different. And this one was with wolf, sheep, snake, and parrot, and this one was just with snake and a parrot. This thing with the none, we actually don't need it. But it was quite fun. Type error, missing one required positional argument of animals. C1 cage. Cage 1. Let's just remove everything and try again to see where the cage is defined. ID num animals. Yeah. So C1 cage 1, add animals, wolf, sheep, snake, parrot. It was working some time ago. So why doesn't it work now? That's a really good question. C1, the init is missing something. Yes, okay. So what did we delete? ID number and animals. Yes, we don't have animals here. True. And we are missing one require, and the zoo is missing cages. Yeah, we don't have cages. Yes, now everything works somehow. Let's go back and see what we have in zoo.cages. Yes, now the cages are different. Yes, a lot of debugging just because I couldn't copy the code correctly, but somehow I found out the error, which is good. And let's continue. What should we do next? We have the cages, we have the init, which somehow work. And let's work on the debug form, which is usually I put it at the end. I don't know, this is how I do it. Init on the top, debug on the bottom. I'm not saying it's a good or bad idea. So we just return something like join, and then something like, let's do it here, join z cage for cage in z cages. Nope, it doesn't work like this. Join. Okay, let's see. We have Z cages. Yes. So we can do it like this then. String. Yeah, exactly. It works. String cage for cage in Z cages. What is important is not to copy this Z in the code upstairs, because otherwise we would be having the same problem. Although the zoo is one, we don't plan of so far to make more zoos, but now I got why I did it, that mistake. Yeah. And if I say here somewhere Z, like this, I'm getting exactly the thing the way it should be. I even can write a new line here. Doesn't use the new line. Which is kind of bad. Okay, why doesn't it take the new line? Page 1. Okay, this is how it gets the new line. That's not something I like, probably. Something like this. Should be able to do it. Still no. Let's see then. F. That's a good question. Why doesn't it work the way I want it to? Yeah, that's something that we actually should take a look at. And actually the problem is something to do with Repugger disliking these beauties here. After, I don't know, a few runs I managed to do it like this. So yeah, let's continue. I mean, sometimes we do stuff that we don't know how they happen, even in programming, even with guys who even think they are seasoned programmers, featuring myself. Okay, Python is not exactly my beautiful season. I'm more like a VBA guy, I guess. But let's continue with animals by color, self-color. Okay. So what do we want to do is return a list of the animals that are given by color. So let's try it here. So get something like animal for cage in self cages for animal in cage dot animals. This should return something, and self of course doesn't work. Z cages is what we are looking for. Here it should be cage. Yes, magic, it just worked. Animal for cage in Z cages. This should be changed to self later in order to avoid our mistake. Cage animals, and here we can use the condition, and it would be if animal dot color equals, I'll put white. And if I put white, I'll just give one white sheep, but if I put something like green, I'll get two green parrots. So let's see. Yes. So this one should go into animals by color. And I think it should go like return animal for cage in Z cages for animal in, yeah, equals color. And of course I should remove the Z but put the self. I have a feeling I'm going to do this a lot of times. Let's see. Z animals by colors black. Do we have anything black? Let's see. No. Why? Probably because I haven't done it. Animals by color black, and I have a feeling there would be a lot of debugging on this one. Okay, yeah, this is not how you do color. It shouldn't be a string, it should be like this. This one I can call it filtered color. So the color is equal on filtered color. This one, this. Yes, and black, I get the black wolf. And if I was interested in the green parrots, yeah, this is how it looks. So now animals by legs. It's pretty much the same as animal by color, but just this time we are interested in the number of legs. Animal doesn't like the self, it doesn't like here, so it should be number of legs, and it shouldn't be self cages but Z cages, and pretty much that's it. We got black wolf with 4 legs and white sheep with 4 legs. Yeah. What if we put more? Snake, parrot, 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 and we put here 2. Green parrot 2 legs, green parrot 2 legs. Yes, we have 4 of these parrots because we have 3 here and 1 here, in total 4. So let's go and translate this one into the animals by legs. So magic return and animal for cage in self cages. Self is self here because it's referring to the class. I really hope it says filter number of legs, where filter number of legs equals this one. That's great. And at the end, let's see, for cage in self cages. Okay, return. It's written like this. Okay. So animals by color black returns something to us. I'm just remove the useless comments. And now we get to work on the Z number of legs, which is the most beauty. What we need about the Z number of legs. Let's take this one. Here we put Z instead of self and write a sum. Should this be okay? Yes. Filter number of legs, okay. Animal number of legs is 4. Animal, no, it doesn't work like this. Return animal dot number of legs. Yes, this is what we want to know, animal number of legs for cage in Z cages. For animal in cage animals, and we would remove this if, and we get a 16, which is probably okay. Let's put it there. Shouldn't be 42, so return some animal, remove the Z, write the self, and here write number of legs. Let's think about how to do it. So we have wolf, sheep, output sheeps everywhere. It's easier to calculate. And we have 8 times 4 should be 32. And we got 42. That's an interesting one. Okay, we got 42 because it used to be 42. I haven't checked it. Okay, what if I, yes, go here with 32, and yes, we finished it. So that's how the whole code looks like. The zoo code, the cage code, and the animal code. And these are the tests. I really hope that I have proven that tests are actually important, even when you copy code from a book. Tests are important because you can mistake, pretending that you're cool enough to know where to change what, using classes into the definition of the class that shouldn't be, like objects into the definition of the class. This was the huge error that I had to debug for around 10 minutes. And the second thing is that debugging is actually not a big drama. It works. You should be patient, and it works nicely. So thanks for watching me. If you want, you can subscribe. If you don't want, yeah, you can smile further and browse further. That's it. Enjoy the rest of your day or night. Bye.